KXRO News Radio, the Harbor's choice for news, sports, and weather.
It's KXRO News Radio. I'm Pat Anderson along with Darwin Sherrow. We have Governor Chris Gregoire on the line with us this morning. Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And let's get right into it. I know the state, as well as states across the nation, local municipalities, the budget is a huge issue, and you are here to educate. So where are we now with this budget crisis for the states?
Well, it's kind of a situation where we take 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And right now, the steps we're taking back are the result of the European debt crisis, which has an impact on us in Wall Street, results in businesses not hiring. And what really jolted us was Congress's inability to do what they needed to do in August, and that really stopped consumer spending. Consumer confidence went down. We're a sales tax state, so it was swift and direct in terms of the implications for us. So our forecast now is down another $1.4 billion. Means we would have no reserve, and we're expected to go down in the November 17th forecast again. So we put some reserve in there. We're trying to get to a $2 billion cut list.
Wow. And
the problem for us is most of our budget, 64%, is protected. We can't touch it. So we only have 36% left. We only have 18 months out of a 24-month budget cycle. So that means we have $8.7 billion from which to cut to. That's 23% after having already cut $10.5 billion. So it's a challenge.
$10.5 billion. So the other proposal is another $2 billion, which would be, in your opinion, into the bone of state government.
No question about it. I've always believed that the state had a responsibility for public safety and schools and education and the safety net, and the kind of cuts that I had very few options, and I put all the options out so everybody could see them. If they didn't like what I did, take a look at the options, and they're really difficult. We're taking a cut in public safety that I think is wrong, cutting our schools and higher education that I think is absolutely wrong. Our safety net is going to be shredded so that we're going to have to rely on local communities, nonprofits, and faith community that are struggling as well.
Governor, politics are what they are, and you're going to have people that don't agree with you. And what would you say to those that say there has been overspending for the last 5-some-odd years that has led us to this, not the European economy crisis?
Well, what started all this wasn't the European crisis. It was our own. It was Wall Street meltdown. And to those who say somehow it was spending in Washington State, how does that account for the fact that 48 states are in the same or worse condition than Washington State is, and it's Republicans and Democrats alike? I mean, I wouldn't want to have to deal with the budget in places like Nevada, Arizona, California, New York, and I wouldn't want to have to deal with it when we come out of the recession because they're taking a toll on their future that I just don't think is healthy. So it isn't about spending. And by the way, where we did spend, we spent on education and public safety. So those are the cuts that are so painful for us to take because that's the greatest investment we can make for state taxpayers to make them safe in their communities and their kids educated to get good jobs.
Now, Governor, you said 64% is untouchable, yes?
Yes,
Okay, so where does that leave us?
64% is really basic education, constitutionally protected. It's, Medicaid required by federal law. It's debt service and pensions. So of the remaining 36%, I say that it's available, but you need to know we constantly get one lawsuit after the other trying to get us to stop. So,
Sure.
For example, we tried last legislative session not to cut the entire basic health plan, but to keep some degree of it there so that when the Affordable Care Act came in, we would transfer those people to a federal program and it would continue on. Mm-hmm. So we cut 11,000 people off, and the court has told us we can't do that. That means we don't have much alternative but to get rid of the entire program. So while we have a reduced amount from which to cut, which amounts to a 23% cut, we also have to deal with lawsuits that restrict what we can do as well.
Well, here in our smaller cities, Aberdeen, Hoquiam, Montesano, Kazi, and across the nation are feeling the budget restraints. And I can remember I-695 really got that ball rolling quite a few years ago. And now it seems like our small cities really haven't recovered. We're just trying to do with what we can. So now there is this new initiative, I-1183, which would get the state out of the liquor business. What is your feeling on this initiative?
I'm hard-pressed right now to support it for this main reason. When I talk to heads of distilleries around the country, they say we have the best system in the country, that the amount of youth that get access to it is the best in the country. And we don't have a broken system right now. We have a system that's functioning perfectly well, and it's not available everywhere in the state. So if we're going to get more money, as has been promised, that means you have to sell a heck of a lot more alcohol, and that means, well, obviously, we're going to have more drug and alcohol problems. So I'm struggling to see really where this is good public policy for Washington State.
Here's the concern of local municipalities, that they fear, the Association of Washington Cities, that you could eliminate the city's share of the liquor taxes and liquor profits if it doesn't pass. And that means $500,000 to the cities every year of the taxes and revenues. That being one of the possibilities for cuts that you're looking at, yes?
Oh, we're connecting the dots wrong here. It has nothing to do with 1183. It has to do with the fact that for the last 3 years, while we cut $10.5 billion, we did not take back any of the money that we share with local governments or that we provide to them directly to include services, knowing that they were struggling. Mm-hmm. We're just in no position now. We give about total, I think, $265 million. And I finally had to look at that list, and from it we took $90 million. So it has nothing to do with 1183. We took liquor, but if not liquor, it would be something else. Right. So 1183 doesn't impact what we've had to do, and I didn't want to do it, but frankly, we are without options.
So their thinking is that if there's a yes on 1183, that would protect that formula that is intact, thus making that money untouchable.
Well, let's. I don't necessarily agree, but let's assume that's right. Mm-hmm. Then we have to take it from someplace else that goes to local government, someplace else out of that $265 million. I mean, that was what I chose. If they don't like that choice, they give me another choice. But the fact of the matter is, we are so financially strapped, and having to cut essential services like supervision of parolees, releasing people 5 months before their release date out of prisons, that we had to look at every option. And looking at the amount of money, $265 million, that goes to local governments, we had to say we need to have some shared cuts there. So if not in liquor, I'm more than happy to accept that. Then what option in that $265 million would they prefer?
Well, you understand their concern. I mean, they use that money for police and fire service and whatnot, and it seems like any time there is a reduction, it seems to affect the smaller cities even more.
Again, not an option I chose lightly. It was an option I chose as last resort.
Where does this leave us now as we move forward? Is there a cure to all this? What needs to happen, Governor?
Candidly, things out of our control. We have really good economic signs inside our state. Our aerospace company, Boeing, but 650, I should say, suppliers are doing great. Life science is doing well. Agriculture, our exports, our ports. Your port is doing well. Mm-hmm. We've got the Cosmopolis Mill up and running. You're seeing good signs. The problem is small business is struggling mightily. And so unless and until the debt crisis in Europe settles down and it's back again taking a toll on Wall Street, we were optimistic one day and pessimistic the next, and Congress absolutely must, do the job and get it done. If those two things fell into place, we would pull out of this.
Governor Chris Gregoire, we appreciate you joining us on KXRO today. I thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
KXRO News Radio is now at 101.7 FM and 1320 AM Aberdeen, serving you for 84 years. The Harbor's choice for news, sports, and weather. 101.7 FM and 1320 AM. KXRO News Radio.